Dangoor here from GiveMeSport, and I'm joined by a very special guest. He's a member of the bloodline, the newest member of the bloodline, Solo Sikoa. Solo, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Louis. Thank you for having me, man.
It's been a crazy couple of weeks for you, crazy 6 weeks really since Cardiff, even beyond that, since you joining WWE. How have you found kind of the last few months of, I guess, utter craziness?
Everything's moving so fast up here, on the main roster, but I'm loving it up here. I'm with my family. I'm with the tribal chief. I'm with the honorary use, the wise man, and we're doing what we came to do, man. I'm doing what I came to do, what I should have been doing. So I'm loving it up here.
Great to see. I think a lot of people were curious to see. Obviously, you were one of the featured guys on NXT, and it kind of seemed like, okay, on a show with a lot of developmental talent, that you felt ready. You felt kind of, okay, you're ready to move up. And then the conversation was, okay, unlike maybe other NXT guys in the past, there was a clear path for you. It was like, okay, he could come in and get involved with the top thing in WWE at the moment. But some people thought, okay, maybe that's not going to happen and they're going to take you down your own path and do your own thing. Kind of what was your thought process in that? Did you always think when you came up to the main roster you'd be involved in the bloodline, and kind of did you want to? Did you not want to? I kind of wanted to gauge your thought process with that.
Well, I felt the end goal was to eventually end up with my family, later down the road. And, me coming in right away, it wasn't something that I was expecting, but I'm happy it did because it just worked out just fine, right? With me being down to NXT, saying that, solo, right? I do things on my own. I don't need nobody else. I can make my own path. I think the timing worked out just fine down there in NXT because I showed everybody that I don't need to go with them, right? I can do my own thing. And when I got, if I ever got brought up, and that was the case, I would be fine with that, because I know eventually down the road we were gonna come and cross paths, and we were gonna have to match together, So it worked out just fine, man.
And you mentioned your name, obviously, in NXT being Solo Sikoa, obviously doing things on your own solo. I think when you were it was rumored that you'd be being brought up. A lot of people wondered whether you'd go through and name James yourself and maybe take up that Uso name and have, I don't know, something else beginning with a J, Jeremy Uso, who knows, whatever it was. Was that ever something you thought would happen? And was there ever conversations with that? Or did you kind of want to keep it authentic? Like, Solo Sikoa, you can do things on your own. You can do things as solo, but you also can be involved with the bloodline.
Man, that was one of the things that was messing with me too. And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I hope I'm not doing all this hard work down here at NXT. I'm establishing who I am. I'm building my character, how I look, how I am. I'm different from my brothers, right? I got the blonde hair, and I'm like, man, Solo's really grown on me, and I was like, man, I hope they don't change me as a Uso, but, it's such an easy transition to go back. So, you know what I mean? Because, I took time to perfect my craft as Solo, but, it's an easy transition if they wanted me to go back or to be another Uso.
Sure. And you mentioned the blonde hair there. Was that a conscious decision from you to separate yourself, to look that little bit different to your brothers?
Definitely, yeah, because I had longer hair, man. I had long hair at the time, so we all look alike already. And then with the blonde hair, it doesn't do anything.
I mean, listen, there's no way you can convince anyone that you're not siblings. Put it that way.
Yeah, and I thought it would be a big difference, but it really ain't. It's just the hair, and it was I was gonna either dye my hair blonde or red, but at the time they were just dyeing their hair red. I was like, okay, never mind. I'll just dye like a blonde mohawk. So, and blonde, now here I am, man.
Obviously, there have been quite a few actually over the last couple of weeks. Trios come into WWE. We've seen the OC back together. Was that something? I know you mentioned wanting to do things on your own, but if, for example, a trios title was introduced, would teaming with your brothers be something that you would potentially be interested in doing?
Of course. I look at it like the New Day, man. They were champs, and they switched on and off with the titles. Now they do something with the trio titles. We can all have our own belt. You know what I mean? And I think it could either be my brothers and me, my brothers and Sami. You know what I mean? Like, there's just so many different variations, man, that we can play with. So yeah, that'll be cool if we could do that.
Listen, I don't want to cause any drama here, but I do have a question. It's hard-hitting journalism here. I've got to ask. You are given the role. Listen, I'm Triple H. We get told often we look alike, but I'm Triple H. And I say to you, listen, Solo, you've got the choice to team with one of your brothers for a tag team title shot. You've got Jimmy or you've got Jay. Who are you going for?
Sami.
Like that answer. I like that answer. And actually, I wanted to talk about that because I'm sure you've seen it on the bump yesterday. There's the footage of you're laughing. Roman Reigns has done it. We've seen him in his segments where he has to move away from the camera or cover his face because he can't stop laughing. How real? I mean, it's obvious those are real, but how is it being involved in a segment like that where, like yourself, you play quite a serious kind of hitman character, I guess, and then you're having to sit there and laugh at this guy? It must be quite hard for you to kind of
man, like you know, like we'll go over rehearsals, right? Like we'll go over our stuff in the back, and like we get out there, and I'm like, man, you didn't tell me you was gonna do that, man. You didn't tell me you was gonna get up in my face and like laugh. I was like, man, you almost made me crack on TV. And he's like, I'm gonna get you. He said, one of these days, I'm gonna get you. I was like, you almost got me. You almost got me last week, man. So he's a natural. He's funny, man. He makes. I enjoy work because of him, you know, and my brothers and my family. But he just brings a whole nother like light around when he's around, man. So he's so funny.
If you told me beforehand, listen, we're going to put Sami Zayn with the bloodline, I'd be like, listen, how does that work? But it works so well, and he is so good at his role. What are some of the things you've maybe learned from working with him, working with Roman, working with you? So obviously guys that have so much experience. For you, it's just got to be the best thing being brought in with all of these experienced guys, even Paul Heyman, one of the best we've ever heard on the mic, to be able to work with these guys so early on in your career. It's just got to be the best thing for you.
It is, man. And, you know, a lot of people will do anything to be in my position to you know, to get taught by these guys, man. Like my brothers, you know, the best tag team in WWE ever, you know, Roman Reigns, man, the greatest champion, man, and still going. Sami Zayn, like, you know, the student of the game, man, like I like to call him, he's like a Kobe Bryant, man, like, but in wrestling, because his mind, man, just never stops working. It's never stopped thinking about ideas, and he's always, you know, critiquing like my matches and stuff like that. He's always giving me feedback. So is Roman, so is Paul, you know, like my brothers, and I love that about everybody, you know, especially Sami. Like, you know, he's family now, you know what I mean? Like he's in the bloodline, but like really getting to like know him, I was like, man, you know, he's there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he is here to help. So it's pretty cool, man.
I think I also wanted to touch on, obviously, you mentioned a lot of the stuff that they've done that you haven't done. One thing that none of you guys have done is been in war games. None of the bloodline have yet, but war games is coming up at Survivor Series this year. Obviously, nothing has been announced as of yet, but a lot of the speculation, rumors out there, and kind of based on the numbers and kind of the grandeur of the event, people think that the bloodline will be involved. Is that something, as soon as that announcement made, you're going, okay, I can see the bloodline being in that role, and I want to be kind of on that team sheet?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Why wouldn't the bloodline want to be in war games, man? We're an actual team. We're a family. You know what I'm saying? Which makes it even better. Like, my question is, who's gonna step up to us, man? That's the real question. Like, is there anybody that's gonna step up to us, all of us, and try to take us out one by one? I want to see that.
Who would you want to share the ring with?
I mean, hey man, there's the OC. You know, there's Judgment Day. Hell, you know, I know Bray Wyatt just came back. You know, he's got some family with him. We got family too. You know, hey man, anybody.
We've spoken a lot about your family. We've spoken about the Usos, spoken about Roman Reigns. I think you know where I'm going with this. The Rock. There's always been rumors that he could be coming back WrestleMania 39 for a match with Roman Reigns. Obviously, nothing known at this time, but it's one that I think fans want to see and fans are hoping they can see. I mean, when we talk about speaking with people, that can only be such a cool thing for you to potentially get to be involved in segments with one of the most famous people on the planet. I kind of wanted to speak to you about your relationship with The Rock kind of previously, and where you kind of see him coming in, whether you kind of, as a fan like all of us, think it's going to happen. I actually found it interesting to kind of hear from you anyway. You hadn't seen Roman in 20 years prior to Cardiff. So what about your kind of relationship with The Rock in that same vein?
Man, the last time I seen Rock, I was backstage with my dad. Man, I was probably like 10 years old, you know, because I was always backstage, man, with my dad, like seeing all the wrestlers and stuff at that time. But I remember seeing him when I first seen him. He was telling my dad that because he was just starting to act, and I think he was doing the Rundown movie or Walking Tall, and he was back and forth. He was like, man, like after I leave here, I go to Hollywood, and Hollywood I come back. And I remember I was like, man, damn, like that's crazy. Like you're doing this and that. But as far as the relationship, man, he's more so close with like Roman, you know, and my dad, because he's always, they grew up around each other and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, big age gap difference. You know what I mean? But that was the only time that I seen him. So yeah, man. As far as the WrestleMania, man, that'll be cool.
Let's hope so.
That'll definitely set, you know, like who's the head of the table in our family. But that'll be cool, you know, growing up watching Rock, man, and you know, now seeing my cousin Roman in that position, you know, running WWE. I would definitely like to see that. You know, at the time.
It'd be great.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be great. And listen, Solo, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. Before I let you go, there's one quick question I wanted to ask, and I spoke to Karrion Kross yesterday, and I asked him the same thing, and his answer was definitely interesting. But we often hear a lot about kind of Mount Rushmores in wrestling and who people put theirs. I wanted to ask you, who would be on your Mount Rushmore? And one thing I do want to say as well, doesn't always have to be kind of the best ever. It could be people that have had an impact on you personally and kind of shaped who Solo Sikoa is in 2022?
Man, Mount Rushmore for me, man, man, I would probably put Stone Cold, Rock, Taker, and probably Shawn Michaels, man. Four or five, right? 4 or 5.
Four, but I mean, if you want to do 5, you can do 5.
I don't have probably Ric Flair, man.
Okay. Listen, Solo, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you today. I want to draw people's attention, obviously, to WWE's tour of the UK coming to Glasgow at the end of this month, and then Crown Jewel on November 5th in Saudi Arabia. And then beyond that, Survivor Series and kind of all things WWE with SmackDown with kind of Solo Sikoa and the Bloodline. I'll put the links to everything in the description for how you guys can check that out. But Solo, again, it's been a real pleasure to talk to you today. But before I let you go, anything you kind of want to draw people's attention to and kind of promote?
Hey, man, just keep looking out for the Bloodline as we take over. Look out for War Games. November 5th, man, Roman Reigns is still going to be your champion. That's it. And
I do have to ask, any chance I can get involved with the Bloodline? Can I be honorary use number 2 or no?
Hey, man, if you lose the glasses, yeah, you might be honorary use number 2.
We'll see. I'll get some LASIK eye surgery and we'll chat next. But Solo, again, absolute pleasure, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louis. Appreciate you, man.